any ministry that you're doing, you've got to ask why you're doing it. I started reading this book recently by Hilaire Belloc. I don't know I think that's how you pronounce his name. About how he did this pilgrimage from France to Rome. And the opening chapter is this whole rambling thing about this French saying that the first step is the hardest. I'm sure you've heard people talk about this sort of thing. And he basically says that is rubbish. The first step is the easiest. Because anyone can be excited by a journey. Anyone can imagine that this is going to be glorious and take the first step. He says the 5,000th step is the hardest. Because that's the point where blisters start to form on your feet, and you're tired and you're hungry, and you want to go back home to sit by your fireplace. So using this as the example, in any ministry that you're doing, if you're sitting down with your team, first thing you've got to ask them is it possible? Is it necessary? But then you've got to say, what is your why? Why are you here? Why do you care? Now, all of you guys are involved in ministries, correct? You've got to ask yourself, why do you care? Okay, you've got people that you're ministering to, you've got people that you're caring for. Why is it your problem? Now, it sounds a bit of a harsh question, doesn't it? Often when you ask someone, why are you doing this? And I'd actually encourage you to do this. Like, people you're working with, go and ask them, why are you doing this? Why do you care about this? Most of the time you're going to get an answer which involves the word should. You know, we should do this because Jesus said so. You know, the Pope said in the encyclical that we should evangelize. It's always going to have that should involved. It's a good thing. We really should do this. We're going to help people because we should. Now, that's okay. And you've got to do good stuff, but I don't think you're going to evangelize the whole world. What I want to suggest is, if you really want to convert the whole world, if you believe that's even possible, if you think it's necessary, you need to understand what is your personal motivation. And it's got to be something personal. It's got to be something deep. It's got to tap into something which almost makes you a little bit angry. Okay? It's got to tap into something really personal. Now, to use the example, the story of the Good Samaritan. We all know the story. Okay, you've got the priest, you've got the Levite, they wander along, see the guy beaten up on the side of the road. They know that they should help him. They know that it's a good thing, but they don't. Now, it's not because they were evil priests or evil Levites or Pharisees. It was because they should also get home in time for dinner. They should also get back for that meeting at the synagogue. You know, they should not get their robes dirty because it's the only one they've got to wear to the meeting tomorrow. If you're operating out of should, you end up with a series of competing shoulds. Is this should more important than this should? You know, I should go and do some ministry, but I really should also go and get a good night's sleep. I really should also go on holiday because I'm overworked. Definitely should do that. Whereas, why did the Good Samaritan stop? Okay, because the Samaritans were a people who were hated, despised, rejected, beaten up. And he walks along and sees a guy who is hated, despised, rejected, and beaten up, and he sees himself. And he's like, this is personal. I don't care what I've got today, my calendar is now empty. I'm going to do everything I can to help him. Okay, taps into something personal, and he goes beyond what's necessary. He does even more than that. Okay, he goes beyond what he should do. In terms of really building something, I think this is a very important question. One of the big problems in the church is that we operate in a yearly cycle. We run an event, we run a follow-up, we then go do another event, do another follow-up, get to Christmas, hey, let's go and start that event again. Do another event. It's just 1 year cycle, 1 year cycle, 1 year cycle. Now that's possible because each event just gets everyone excited and focused, and then we go back to living ordinary life. If you were to go to your parish or your community or your youth group and say, we're going to do a 20-year vision. We want you to be committed for 20 years to build something. and then look around the room and see the fear in their eyes as they scan the room for the exits. Because that's what they're going to do. Straight away they're going to be like, I'm busy. I've got to go and plough a field. I've got to go and buy a car. I've got to, And you're very quickly going to suck out of them what's actually motivating them. Most of it's going to be because they should. If you actually want to do something history-changing, it needs to be a long-term vision. And for a long-term vision, you need to understand why you're there. It needs to be something deep, which is going to keep you going every day when you're bored. Now, same thing with your vocation. You need to ask yourself, why do you even care about being a priest? Seriously, take that to your prayer. Why do you care? You're going to be caring for people who don't care about you. It's not that fun. It looks all exciting when you go to an ordination and you're like, gee, that must be great to be a priest. And you wake up the next morning, you're like, I'm here for the next 70 years.
The divine hangover. The holy hangover.
The holy hangover, yes. I think I'm still in it. I think it's getting worse with formation. But seriously, you've got to say, what's my why? Why am I here? And I'd really encourage you, what you need to do is look at your personal story and say, is there something in my story which connects with their story? Is there something in me, something I've experienced, which actually kind of stirs up some anger and some passion, Is there something which just gets my blood boiling? Now that doesn't sound like normal holy conversation, We've still got this hangover with this idea that anger is somehow sinful and bad all the time. But what is that thing that's actually going to motivate you and drive you? Okay. Now for me, some of you have probably heard me tell this story, but back in 2004, a cousin of mine dies of a heroin overdose. He was just broken with anger against his father. His father was already on to his third marriage, and I was just unbelievably angry. I found out about it halfway through a silent retreat. I spent the next 3 days chopping wood because I just couldn't cope. But for me, that's something of that personal story which drives me. Because I want to make sure that never happens again. So if I see a married couple who are struggling and their marriage is about to fall apart, I feel compelled. I'm like, I'm going to make sure that your kids have parents in the next 20 years. Like, I'm going to do everything I can to work with you, to help you, to make sure that your marriage does not fall apart. If I'm working with men and I know that they're broken and addicted, and I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that man is put back together again. Same thing with young men, with young people. Like, the whole way that I think about youth ministry is driven by that personal experience, because I want to make sure it doesn't happen again. Now, sometimes that drives me possibly a little bit too much, and there's a need to kind of moderate it sometimes. But in terms of actually achieving a long-term vision, I would suggest that that's something very important. So look at what is it in your conversion, what is it in your life, your family, which is actually going to motivate you to get out of bed every day and get on your knees and pray. What's going to motivate you to sacrifice all that is good and beautiful in the world to work for the sake of other people's salvation?